Hey, starting the stream. Let me know if it goes live. I got green now.
Okay. Let's see. Yep. It goes live, right?
Okay. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, perfect. Okay, I don't think we need the intro anymore. So we struggled, for those who are watching on YouTube, we struggled because a little bit because we are trying to stream on multiple sources, like on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube and so forth. And we use a third party called Restream, and they allow you to basically stream through them, and they are going to stream to multiple locations. However, because we live in this trade society, they say it's free except for Facebook. You want Facebook, you have to pay. So we basically had to stream one to them and another one to Facebook. So it's a mess. But now we are only streaming on YouTube and Facebook instead of 4 other sources. Okay. Good. So today it's another TROM-Cast, and we are going to discuss about privacy and censorship, which is a big, big topic. And the way that these TROM-Casts work is that we choose a subject, we discuss about it, and then we are going to go through some news of the week. We take them from TROM curated news and discuss them a little bit as well. And we are going to read messages from YouTube chat if you have any messages, any questions. And also anyone can participate. And to participate, you can participate through Jitsi. Jitsi is free and open source, and it's working in every browser and every operating system. And you will have the details on tromsite.com on our live updates there. I will post now. 1 second, let me post. Let me post it now. So you can go and participate if you want. And password is.
Some of you guys have background noises, like a party there or something.
Yeah, that's not me.
Okay. So if you want to participate, go on tromsite.com and go to our live updates, and you can find the URL there. Okay, so let's discuss about privacy and censorship. And I'm Theo. We have Dima, for those who are wondering, like, who the heck are we? And Sebastian. Hey, Sebastian. And Aaron and Cody. So I will maybe Cody, if you want to talk a little bit about this, because you are maybe the one who chose the subject.
Yeah, I guess kind of. Oh geez. So like, privacy. I guess why is it important? Usually, I guess the main argument you'll hear against any kind of privacy is, I have nothing to hide. So, therefore, what do I need? You can peer into my life. But, I mean, it would not take, a second thought of me, like, going in, okay, let me check your browser history, or, I could just dig into some embarrassing medical history, or, maybe things you just, out of the ordinary. There's lots of things that you don't, or that you would hide that might even be benign, but that you might just want to keep to yourself. And that's just like the nuance that we're kind of losing today. It's like, no, everything should be inspected because we need to know what everyone's up to all the time. That's just not a healthy outlook. You can't. Privacy is necessary for so many things. Developing ideas such as this. Imagine like we weren't able to, gather or whatever because they thought whatever we were doing was evil, and there was a law you're not allowed to gather anymore or whatever. That privacy kind of allows you this safe space to talk about ideas, or just share maybe things that might be controversial or something, but try to develop these ideas, try to progress them, and you are almost unable to if there's an all-seeing eye looking in on everything you're doing and judging and giving you a social credit score depending on whatever it is you're up to. It's just you need privacy for a healthy society.
Yeah, and you think that guys, that this privacy is kind of dead today because of the online world? because everything is tracked and everything is mined for data and for watch time and stuff like that. What do you guys think?
No, I think we actually all, everyone is super private nowadays. Nobody's really hacking or tracking anybody. I think we're living really in a great time. You know. No, yeah, for sure. Everything is being tracked and mined and sold and bought. And the last Trump voices as well pointed it out, how nothing is really for free. And many of these services like Facebook and YouTube, even though you can use it for free, they're selling your data, and they're selling them to advertisers that are then gonna market you all kind of different products and so on, and customize them and track you and try to make money off of you.
I think that's a big marketing trick of these big companies. They say, "Oh yeah, we are free. We don't want any money from you, so you can use us, but then you have to pay with your data, so it's not trade free."
Yeah, it's not free at
And
all.
that's what many people don't get.
I think that should almost fall under like false advertising, if we're being honest, because that's a direct. You're telling me that you're offering me the service for free, but then you're collecting something with me that is of value that you're then selling. How is that free? So it's like they're not even honest in the approach, like a trade. We offer you this service, in exchange this is what we are doing. It's Facebook is free and always will be.
And why do you guys think so many people don't give a shit about the privacy? So they kind of don't care, you know. Okay, somebody use my data. I have nothing to hide, and I'm just a normal person and I don't care.
I was the same. Interestingly, a few years ago, not long ago, I was like, I don't really care that much. I was like, so what if Google collects data about me if they provide me better search results? And I was a bit of a Google fanboy, and now I'm like the opposite of that. I think it's because for one, people don't understand. They just, if you only tell them like, oh, they collect the data about you, they say, so what? They don't understand this chain of events. Like, for example, someone will argue, like my argument was in the past, so what that they collect? Okay, look, so what? Look at China if you want to see the future of mankind. And China is implementing, because of this collecting of data, social credits. And depending on what you post online, depending where you go and so forth, they will give you access to stuff, or they will take stuff away from your rights. And you may say, okay, this is far into the future, or no one is like China. China is so unique. It's not at all like that. There are many companies who are offering now credit, like loans to people, only based on their Facebook profile, for example. You sign up with your Facebook profile, they search your Facebook profile, and they give you a loan, okay? Plus, so many companies now can track you on Facebook, on other social networks. Insurance companies will take advantage of that. If you have a so-called smartwatch on your wrist, they can have partnership with this company, and they can see the data from you, and they can charge you more or less based on your activity. So it's a huge amount of potential to do bad here, and that's what changed my mind, because I realized all of that. But it's very difficult for normal people who only want to upload a photo on Facebook and talk to someone, and they don't give a shit in general.
Yeah, exactly, and I get their way of thinking. If they think like primarily they have nothing to hide, so why should somebody collect their data? What for? I'm just regular person, not a terrorist, nothing. Why they should? But the trick is here that the data can be used in many different ways, as you said, in social credits, and then to sell you stuff, and then just to know about yourself, just to make decisions and use your in many different ways to make a profit out of it. So that's somehow the way I see it. A lot of people make this equal signs to privacy is like something only if it's dangerous, or if it's taking like how to explain, like a security, yeah. So they don't realize that data is collected actually to make a profit and then make some other transactions in other applications, not only for the security reasons.
It's funny. It's like a reflection of the real world. Like when you go out into a city, you are like forced upon brands, and you see all kind of different brand signs, and people are trying to sell you stuff. It's like, buy this item, it's only $9, and so on. And the same type of advertising that is forced upon people is transferred now into the online world, and people are being fed these customized ads that are even more specific for the person than if you go out into the city. And there's this duality now, that the same life that exists in the real world is now being created online.
But yeah, it can go on not only for the adverts. Let's say in Russia, there's many cases when people get jailed for reposting some anti-governmental stuff. It was just reposting. It wasn't like they're posting, you know. And it's reality. Of course, there's not many of such cases where people like really get jailed, but there's lots where police came to them and they get fines, you know.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about privacy and information. Like how in the first place they could know that. I mean, they don't track you. It's just the social media provider. They just give out this information. In the same time, like your bank accounts, there also it's the information there is quite visible. I mean, how would else like the government would know if you have some undeclared income or something, and they send you letters. This information should be private as well. Like, it's your money, you do whatever you want, it's your bank account, but if the government wants, he can access it easily.
To have privacy is very bad for a system that wants to control, because they want to know how the world works, what you are doing in order to control for their own benefits. And I was thinking, like, imagine if you know that Facebook is making 90% of their profits from drug trafficking. Could you call that a social network? But what about now when they are making 90% of their profits from advertising? Why are people calling Facebook a social network? Call it an advertising company. The same is true for Google, and this is very important because people completely forget about such things. But this is their main mission. I mean, when Facebook designs their Facebook.com or their application, their main purpose, and I want to highlight this, is to get stuff from you, is to push advertisement into your face. That's their main purpose. And people think that, I saw a documentary which is very interesting from BBC about the Silicon Valley. And the guy goes to Silicon Valley to all of such companies like Facebook and Uber and Airbnb. And all of such companies market themselves as, we want to change the world. We want to connect people. And the guy was like, shut the fuck up. You want to make profits. If you wanted to change the world or connect people, you don't need billions in profits. You don't need to collect so much data. And they are very successful because Facebook is now, we are connecting people together like that, In fact, it's not at all that's the reality. And that's why, this is my point, that's why they collect data and we have no privacy, because they have to make a business. And they realize that people's data is such an important asset for them. And that's why they collect data. That's why you have less and less privacy.
What's even interesting that you can download the all stats from Facebook about your account, and they've got like everything. So I downloaded mine some time ago. It was about 2 gigabytes of information, and they keep everything. All the chats you have with all the people, even if those people are not anymore on Facebook, all the pictures, all your searches, even if you type in search something and you haven't pressed enter to search it, it's also there. So they've got a lot of stuff. And the most interesting thing, they've got even list of the companies who bought your data.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And everyone could actually download it and see for yourselves. Yeah.
You can find that information on Facebook?
Yeah, you can download. You need to send a request, and then they, like, for me, it was next day they send it to me. And
to me, it's even more scary under Android than Google, because on Android, you can see exactly where you were on the map, like with nice graphics, like where you were like a few months ago, like 5 years ago, what apps you had opened, what you clicked when that app was open, with who did you talk to. You can have all of that shit is there on Android and on Google, so it's no escape.
Another.
Go ahead, Dima.
Okay, I'll tell a story about Kindle. You guys know, yeah, the Kindle readers. So they also
From Amazon.
implement, yeah, from Amazon. They implement such systems. When you read a book, they also collect as much data as possible. They even know on what kind of paragraph you stopped, which word you kind of track longer, because they can even track like your eye movement from the camera if you use it on a phone or on a tablet. They basically know, yeah, everything. They collect all of this data, and then you think, okay, no big deal. Like, why should I care? But if you're, let's say, writer, and you want to publish your books, you will be forced by these new rules, by these algorithms, which tells you, people don't like books which are more than 100-page long. That one, they don't like to have such chapters. They don't like if there's use such words and everything. So this kind of runaway for profit will start to make adjustment in the art or whatever scientific study you are doing. If you want to then to be published somewhere, you will have set of rules, for the writers. If they want to release the book, there will be editors, and editors will start to edit the book according to this data, so it could sell well. So in these terms, it's like really hard to be a writer because you have to adjust your art, or based on this data collected from the users. And it's only one small example about writers, but imagine it happens in every industry, in more serious, like in science and in medical care and everything. When by collecting data, like all the specialists, they start to shift their priorities towards basically based on this data which is collected.
And guys, I think the idea here is that this kind of data collection and privacy, it's influencing both those who consume the content and those who create the content.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all about, because they want something from it. The authors, if you write a book in this society, you need to get something in return. You need to sell the book. And if Amazon gives you all of those stats, of course it will influence you in the same way that YouTube influences you to post a particular video if they ban certain words, or your video is too long or too short. Because you can see that with YouTube, it's so obvious when they change algorithm and people figure it out. You will see how most creators make videos that are 10 minutes long, or some that are 2 minutes long, or some that are about a specific subject or a specific style. It's so obvious how this is influencing the online world.
Yeah, exactly. And all of this comes from the data collection. That's the small point which people don't give attention to. They think it's not important. But yeah, computers collect this massive amount of data and make their conclusions. And people use these conclusions to make more profit.
Aaron, do you care about privacy?
Of course. I want to add to Dima's question why people are using these tools, but they collect all the data. I think it's because they are so big. Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram, they are so huge, and I have some friends that was like, hey, there are alternatives like Signal or Telegram, you can use them. But they said, there's nobody on Telegram or Signal. It's just everybody is on WhatsApp. So I want to chat with them. And yeah, I think that's a big problem, that they are so huge. There are millions and billions of people on these platforms. And if you want to like have contact with them, you kind of have to use them. Or you just say, yeah, I'm using the alternative, and I force the other ones to just use them too to contact me. Because that's what I did with my family. I said, hey, mom, hey, dad, I use Signal, and you can install Signal too. And if you have anything, you can chat with me on Signal.
Same as me. Yeah, I did the same.
Yeah.
But it's such a small influence, only a few people around you who maybe give a shit about you, because others may be like, okay, fuck off, I'm not going to contact you on Signal. And this is really the main argument here, because there are so many alternatives to Facebook. that are much better, way better in terms of design, in terms of the way that they work, but they are empty because people don't go there. People are on Facebook and that's it. They somehow they established this monopoly, Facebook and a few other companies. Like in a book, in the last book, like The Origin of Most Problems, I look at the social networks by users, and only like 10 applications are basically the only ones that are used around the world, from China to Russia, from US to Brazil, to everywhere. And like 10 applications owned by, let's say, 4 companies. So that's the state that we are in. And of course, they are going to capitalize on this so much because they know that you are not going to go to another alternative. And this alternative can also be bought by them. Like Facebook bought Instagram and WhatsApp.
Yeah, I mean, there are these in Germany, a lot of people know of that. They know that big companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple, they collect all your data, but they are still using it. So I'm not sure how to change them or how to make them more aware that this is a problem. This is a huge problem. So it's really difficult.
They don't care about privacy, in my view, because, as I said, they don't understand, and they don't see a direct effect. I think they don't. For example, I know people, so many people who use Facebook, and they don't understand that whatever is fed to them is fed in a way to keep them engaged there, or to buy shit, or to click shit. They say, oh, it's interesting. Look at this interesting post. Look at this interesting shit, and kind of they got comfortable with that, which is very sad for me. It's so hard to pull them out from this, because there are two things. One is to make them understand that they have to move away from it, and second is that you have to put them somewhere else. Like, they go off Facebook, they should go somewhere else, because you have to replace that with something, and it's very tricky.
I can tell you from perspective of some, let's say, artists or people who are dependent on the public. So you cannot just say fuck off Facebook, do your profile, because you won't be able, people won't be able to find you. Like the club promoters or gig organizers, they'll always check your Facebook following and everything. So for many industries, it's really important. Although you can, like personally, quit Facebook and use other platforms. Like if you have some kind of business or some stuff you are doing, which you need some kind of people to expand to, it's really almost impossible today to avoid Facebook or YouTube.
And don't we stream on Facebook now? Why we did that? We did that too. And why do we want to stream on multiple platforms? Because we want to kind of let more people watch this TROM-Cast, because for them it could be very uncomfortable, or not even a possibility to go somewhere else. I mean, they may not even know how to. If we streamed on tromsite.com, most people will not even know. That's the problem here. And they force you, even for us, they force us to do this. So back
it's
to
that element of force. Yeah. No, it's just I have this like comparison. Maybe it's like this element of force that is just pushing people to have to submit to these big companies and to this way of doing things. It's the same thing, like, for example, wanting to live outside of the city. It is easier. It is maybe something that might be better for you in terms of this more fresh air. It might be cleaner water. You're more in nature. It might be more peaceful and so on. But the force and the trade element of the city is like pushing you towards there, because how will you survive outside of the city? How will you be able to make money? How will you, like, energy wise, all those things, if you want to live off the grid? And it's the same thing with the internet, kind of. People are forcing you
in the center of the city, you also find more opportunities.
Exactly.
Right?
You also find more opportunities. You can then maybe, do more things, reach more people and so on. And it's the same kind of thing in that regards.
Cody, you said that you sent me some messages about privacy, and you said that it concerned you a lot about privacy after you saw the revelation of Edward Snowden. You said that he had a big impact on you. That's the kind of thing that you think can change people's minds?
Oh yeah, that's the power of just information and being aware of I mean, it may speak more to maybe my personality and being more of scientific mind and taking in, I apply new information. So if I'm learning that, now my cell phone is an always on listening device that's taking pictures of me every 5 seconds, and I got, microwave radiation being beamed down at me from space and satellites that are like, can detect where I am in my house. And it's like, oh, this isn't conspiracy stuff. This is just leaked documents from the NSA. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna live my life a little differently now that I know these things. And a huge thing that they even tell you about in the leaks and stuff is the chilling effect. And the chilling effect is basically, people who know they're being watched, people who know that there's surveillance and scrutiny on everything that they're doing, is you act differently and you second guess everything you are doing. Uh, in real life, I got rid of my cell phone. I got rid of. It was very hard for me to even keep in contact with my very close family because I was so scared of any words I might say to them that it might be pulled out of context by these bots or whatever, and I'm put on Obama's kill list, and like it gets pretty nuts when you find out it's not just what they're doing, but what they want to do with that information. And it's like, you're not a terrorist, you're not under any kind of suspicion, but we're going to collect everything you're doing just in case. And then we're going to put it through these AI algorithms, and, hopefully, you're not, you're not drone striked at the end of that as a consequence, which is a case for other people. But just that collecting all this data and that chilling effect, not being able to, like, it was very hard for me to even talk to Tio or people about this. Like, fighting back against was very difficult because it's like, now they are monitoring my very communications, and I'm a direct threat to them now that I found out these things. And it's just like
Because
it's a
you know what's
self-fulfilling prophecy is what that is. Go ahead, Tio.
what's interesting is that let's discuss a bit about this, because to me you are one level higher than me, because I'm not concerned, for example, and I want to know why. I'm not concerned that much at this point about they collecting personal data about me and doing something to me, like arresting me, or I'm more concerned about in general, or in like this mass surveillance that will lead to things like, oh, people who engage in this kind of behavior may not embark that quickly in the airplanes, or they may not get a loan, or these little things like death by a thousand water drops or something like that. That's what for me it's more concerning. And I was curious, like if you are so concerned about, like, make me be concerned like you. Like, what do you know that
Oh,
I
what
don't?
what do I yeah, what did it for me that I didn't? I think that a huge part of it, even for this project, is like having that background knowledge. So I think a lot of it is like, watching documentaries like Ruby Ridge and like, you know, not JFK because that's not verified, but like Tonkin Bay or the Gulf of Tonkin, and just like these like repeated, we know war crimes and stuff and conspiracies happen all the time. Northwoods. But kind of taking that into account, taking into account what happened to Aaron Schwartz, and how basically, just releasing information, not damning or leaks or putting anyone in danger, but just educational papers being released that person would end up, prosecuted and pushed to suicide because of the consequences of such
So this is the guy who basically, together with other people, created Reddit, right?
yeah.
He created Reddit, and he went into a building to copy lots of educational information, I suppose
Yes.
it was, and he was tracked with cameras. And they said, "Ah, look, this guy is a thief," and they made a big case out of it, and they put a huge pressure on it on him, and he committed suicide.
Yep. Yeah, it's like not even that they could have necessarily, like, they're just throwing all this scary language at him, 50 years life and whatever, and it's like that's what happens. You twist language in a court system get your wanted outcome, but that it was, that it would be so egregious that war criminals, that there are like known war criminals in office that are just never prosecuted for the stuff that they participated in or whatever, but that this guy who was releasing this information behind paywalls is somehow one of the greatest threats to society, and we need to crush that, and they did. So to me, people like you, Tio, or really anyone who's kind of going against this status quo, it's like I see these examples of them just like launch the nukes, like whatever response, it's not a proportionate response when these things kind of happen. If they see you as a threat, it's like they will pull out character assassination, or a big thing for me that was coming up was deep fakes, and that I could be basically my voice. I was scared to have my voice out there and my videos out there, and I'd tell my friends, don't post me on Facebook, don't do this, because if they gather all that, somebody's gonna put me together in a video, and I'm doing whatever, and then the government's gonna come after me, and I can't explain it, and it's just, when you have this society, with a society without privacy, you have no trust. If you have no trust in a society, that is not good. That deteriorates. You can't have friendships and relationships if you don't trust your neighbor. I don't even know my neighbor's name.
But NSA knows it.
Yeah, the NSA does. He can keep me informed.
There is one idea came to my mind. Some time ago, there was a movie, like a Hollywood movie blockbuster. I think it was called Minority Report. I don't know if you remember. So the idea of this movie was that the crimes, like in the future, crimes were prevented before the person committed. So they've got kind of system of prediction the crimes, and the policeman just arrived before the crime scene and arrest him. So at that time, it seems like super weird idea, but actually today, if you imagine like all our data has been collecting for years already now, and let's say even 10 years from now on, like the algorithm, so much information about us, about our behavior, about our places. So maybe after a while, they will be able to predict what we're gonna make next, what we're gonna do tonight, where we're gonna go, and what we could do, and some high degree of probabilities that we're gonna kill someone, or steal something, or do something bad.
For sure.
And then you start to realize that it becomes really scary, and it's actually really possible to predict your behavior. Besides that, in our society, most of the people living kind of routinous life, so they do kind of similar stuff every day. So I think it's not hard to predict for AI.
You could just
They already do this.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it just will evolve even more and more. And maybe when the general public will start to think about privacy, it will be too late.
I just wanted to add here, because they do this with terrorism. If you are suspected of terrorism, they already do this. They can arrest you because you are suspicious or for suspicion of terrorism or something like that.
Yeah. And they already predict that in certain neighborhoods, they're more gangsters, so they patrol around there and so on. You should just arrest all those people living in poor areas because they're more likely to commit violence and crime. But there's also that Black Mirror episode with the eyeball where like everything is recorded and so on, and then they go to the airport and then instead of like going through a machine, a scanner, they basically just scan the history, and this eyeball basically is like records everything that they have experienced. So they just check, what have they done? Have they done anything criminal and so on? And if they haven't, they are let through. And if they have, then.
And they do that today without such cool things. They do that with a card or with a fingerprint.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw the documentary that they are implementing now in Europe. Some kinds of you can embark into a plane quicker if you give away your information to the government directly. If you go to a specific place, give them your fingerprint, give them some data, you have you can go first in an airplane, can embark first, So they are going to implement these things not like in the movies, but little by little, here and there, until they have the same results.
Already now at the airport, if you fly, it's just all face scans, and within Europe at least, you just put your passport in these face scans, and then you just it checks your passport, and then you just go through.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's
Past couple times, that's what I have done.
And the negative, the stupid thing here actually is that some people may say, okay, we need those to stay away from terrorists, to put away the bad people, to predict bad outcomes. But the thing is that, I was researching for this last book, almost every terrorist and every terrorist attack that was in the world for the past 10 years was tracked by every single agency from every single nation was tracked and tracked and tracked, and they were unable to prevent anything. I don't think they have one single case that they could say, okay, we prevented a terrorist attack, because this is very difficult to predict. And because of such laws, they are only going to affect normal people who go to the airport and feel like they are in a jail, and they think that, because we put so many laws and rules, we predicted so many bad outcomes. But that's not the case actually in pretty much any domain in this world. So that's something to keep in mind. It's the same with war on drugs or war on terrorism. Just to give you one small to put that into your head. Some people, the terrorists that they call them, they went to US, they blew two big towers, they killed 3,000 people on 11 or 2000 on September 2001. The big terrorist attack, the biggest. So they killed 3,000 people. US got so pissed off, they went after them, officially after them, in Afghanistan and Pakistan and Iraq, and they killed like 20 times more Americans in those fights against terrorism than terrorists killed their people. So put that in perspective, that's what happens with all laws. That's what my point is here. When they put laws and take away your privacy, they are saying we are protecting you from the bad people. Maybe they are going to prevent a few things here and there, but they are only going to affect you and me, the people who are not doing bad stuff. That's the idea here.
Yeah, and it's not only, like security measures and to preventing bad stuff happens, like violence and killings. It could, if we would have such systems, will be broadly available. It could be as simple as that you wanna rent a new flat and the landlord would say, no, I just check your data. It predicts that you will move out after 3 months. I don't need you, and stuff like that. In really daily day-to-day life, it could affect you.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring another example from China. I've read today an article. In China that they want to implement, or I think they implemented already, some kind of social credit system. And in that article, it was, so in China, there's the Communist Party. I think they are the leading party there. And when the kind of CEO tells something, when he has a talk, then the social credit system will give points to the people who comment under his talks on social networks. And now they developed a software to kind of measure your blood pressure in your face and to measure your facial expressions to see if it's real or not. And this is just so crazy.
What the fuck?
When I've read this.
It's just so sick. I mean, it's so sick.
So it's really a terrible direction.
It's even more sick because they don't even achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah.
It's not like they are going to make Chinese people more honest. They are going to piss them off, and eventually it will be a revolution and they will start all over again and replace the government, and they will do the same thing under this trade-based society. Yeah. And they do the same. They don't have an effect for what they want to have an effect on.
Completely. It's so backwards, like you say, but their attention is not even to solve problems. It's just to control the population, and there's so many converted interests, and it's just one big mess. And they, it's just this for-profit system that is directing people into doing actions that are simply going to affect themselves negatively as well. Nobody is going to benefit in the long run, not even the billionaires or trillionaires. And that's the whole problem about the system, because people think that it is really going to benefit some people. It's not. It's going to lead to just a worsening of the overall situation. It's obviously not good if your neighbors or if the general population is hating most of their lives and is controlled and is not able to, live a meaningful life in any sort of way. So it has to be changed on a much bigger scale and structurally, if anything wants to change. Yeah.
So we could say, like, people who want to make the world a little bit more secure, and they use surveillance for that. They only tackle a symptom and not the root cause for insecurity of the world.
Completely.
Yeah.
And the fact that only a few companies pretty much dominate the entire digital world. This is a massive problem, because we are talking about 4.7 something like that billion people who are using the same kind of services. I think if I say like 20 services, then everybody is using them, like Facebook, YouTube, Google. Pretty much that's what it is. And if you think about it, everything that we do is filtered to them. It's filtered to Facebook, to Google's, to in Russia they have Yandex, in China they have Baidu, and it's going to create even a bigger problem, because these companies are of course under many times the control of the government, and both want stuff from you, some to control you, some to engage you into trades, and it's like a battle of sucking the blood out of you. It's exactly like a Matrix, the movie. You are here consumed by all of these agencies. Privacy. And today, let's talk a bit about maybe what can we do? Are there solutions to this kind of mess? And because how do we interact with the digital world? Because that's where they get the information from. What is this window that we interact with? And like I explained in the last book that I wrote, you have two operating systems in the world. Basically, it's Windows, and it's from Apple, Mac OS. Linux is not even close to anything. It's like 2 to 3%. On mobile phones, you have Android, and you have, again, Apple with their iOS. So in terms of operating systems, you have absolutely no option but to have your data mined, and same goes for applications and stuff like that. So what do you guys think about maybe?
It's not like you don't have options. You have options, the same Linux and stuff. Is that people don't want to choose these options, and that's the problem, because it's not promoted. It's not people just not aware about it. They don't worry about all this data mining, all these security concerns and everything. And secondly, it's just not stylish enough, for our society to be there, and it seems complicated, and there's just not enough information. So why these major players dominate the whole, the whole spectrum, is because they have money and they constantly invest money into promoting. And today it's such point where they've got like almost monopoly in everything. But the choices are there, and there are a lot of alternatives in every field. People don't choose to go for them.
I use Mac, and I definitely want to shift that, but it's so difficult because you're just not exposed to it, and you just go out and it's like everyone is just going in this direction, and you're like, oh shit, I guess that's what I need to get, and yeah, it takes time in order to create a shift, and it's a convenience factor as well, and so on.
And mobile phones are like, I don't know how to call them, but I want to throw my mobile phone to the garbage, because you cannot control that. And this is what people don't understand when I try to explain to them. They're like, what the fuck are you so concerned? But when last time I updated my Android, they installed Facebook and WhatsApp on my mobile phone, and I was like, what the fuck is this? How can you install stuff for me, and now I cannot even uninstall them? For me, it's not a problem with Facebook or WhatsApp installed on my, it's this attitude of having the guts, to install something on my system, almost like it come into my room and they move my bed and put stuff there. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? It's not even my room here. That's a huge problem. And with my computer, I can do stuff with it. I can install Linux, for example, and that's what I did. That's what I'm using right now, Linux and trade-free applications. But on mobile phone, it's extremely difficult because you have very little alternatives there, and they lock the chips down in a way that you cannot even install another operating system. And it's getting harder and harder. And today, more and more people are using mobile phones. And this is there heaven for data collection and for privacy fuckery? It's completely like you have a phone, you have like, if you could see it visually, every time you take your phone to see exactly what data goes where, I think you'll be shocked. Like, what is happening here?
But yeah, for example, for smartphones, I've heard about Purism. I think they are developing a smartphone which aims to like, and who aims to be as safe as possible, I think. And they want to release it this year in spring probably. So yeah, but of course it's fucking expensive. It costs 600 euros, I think, and yeah, so
But
not everybody can.
even if it would be free, imagine if it would be free, people will not choose it, because Linux is free. People don't choose it. If Signal is free, people choose WhatsApp. You know, they don't choose it.
Yeah, and that's the main point. Why people don't choose it? Yes.
Cody, what are you not choosing Linux and you are still using Windows?
What's happened to you?
So like for me, it's literally because I'm a computer tech and I need to be versed in what everyone else is doing, and the market share says I need to know what's going on.
You just don't want to answer this question.
Trying to disconnect.
No. It's,
Can you repeat?
Yeah. So I'm a computer tech, so like I'm forced into it the same way. Oh man, the stream is having some serious.
Windows blocking you, I think.
Yeah, I think Windows is not letting me voice my concerns here. But that yeah, I'm forced into it because everybody else is using it, and if people need assistance or I have to know. So it's like, yeah, I could use Linux as my daily driver, but then when am I using Windows 10 and getting familiar with it and all of its nonsense and whatever? So if nobody else used it, I'd be off this thing in a heartbeat, because there's I tried out Linux a while ago, and I guess I wasn't at a point in understanding with the terminal can be daunting if you've never really interacted with that before. But like the way everything is done on Linux with the repositories, where you get your apps from, like you're always getting it from the same place, not going to just Googling this search and everything. It's great in all these ways. But yeah, there's no market share there, so it's like less development happens, so it's like less potential for people to move over, because there's going to be features that they expect or whatever, that it's going to be pretty familiar to what they already know. Learning something new like Linux was like, it was something I wanted to do, but I knew like I was going through a period where it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to, you're kind of regressed for like 2 weeks in terms of what you can do. And people, when you're talking about today and you're talking about cell phones and convenience and ADD and like 15-second time spans, like people's time to even install or just run, a live copy of Linux is almost out of the question for your normie.
Where I disagree here is that I don't think people don't move to such things like Linux because it's more difficult. It's a lot easier today Linux to use and to install than Windows. It's far easier. I mean, people have no idea, and this comes from someone who's now I customized the Linux distribution. It's called TROM-Jaro, and we are going to release it. It's so easy. It's so easy. Like my parents are using it, and think about the fact that most people use their computers for their browser. I'm telling you, if I go now and I install to my parents' computer Windows, and they open the same browser, they cannot tell the difference, because they just use the browser like most people. So I don't think it's this fact. I think it's what we talked so far is like they don't understand, first of all, that there is an alternative and it is easier, and second, is this, like we explained in Trom documentary, this theory of homeostasis. Like you are mentally used to being in a way, and the change is always very difficult. Like even if you try to go for a run every 2 days, preparing for that is very mentally challenging because you have to wake up in the morning, you have to do something that you're not used to. So going from this state to another state will be a state of discomfort between the two, you know? So I think that's mostly the problem here.
I would agree.
Yeah, completely. Particularly because most people are saying, don't run, stay indoors and just keep eating and that type of shit. Keep consuming this same product.
Yeah, I think people are used to Windows and Mac because they grew up with that, because almost every family has it. So yeah, they are just used to that.
I always want to pull my hair off when I hear people that they are using Skype, and I'm like, it's a free alternative called Jitsi. You don't need an account. And they use other things like other applications that are full of advertising and shitty. I'm like, wow, on Linux it's so easy. It's everything. Most of them are so free and no ads, and that what you see, it's what you get, basically.
Yeah,
it really annoys me.
I think it's also like a bit similar, maybe again, to bring it back to like the city thing. It's like you can walk down the streets of a city and you will have to see all these fucking ads and have to do all this fucked up shit in a way. Or you could live outside of the city in a nice area, you know, and you won't have to experience any of that. But the convenience factors, like doing that shift, is going to be very difficult and takes a lot of resources, and you have to step outside mentally and all those types of things. And I don't know. It's
To
an
me,
interesting comparison.
with Linux, it's like I have a house that is outside the city, and I'm like, this house is free. It has renewable energy. I'll bring with the car. I'll set you up everything, and people will be like, no, no.
I prefer it here in the city.
Yeah, but why it's so? Is it only because of the promotion of the other brands? Like, of course, if we compare here Linux with Apple and Windows, they put enormous amount of money and influence, you know, to even, you know, like it's hard to buy a computer without any operational system, without Windows. It's really tricky to find one. So, yeah, and of course, Linux, by being such open source software, it doesn't have funds for the promo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And maybe
to basically convince people into not even buying it, but to using it. Yeah, go on, sir.
No, I think maybe exactly like you said, it might be this factor of like it not feeling legitimate because it's not already installed on operating systems on computers that you can go to the store. So it's like, all right, what is reinforced and supported by the system? You go to a shopping mall, you go to a store, and you see the various computers, and that's like what they trust within the system. So it's like I got to download some shit online. Maybe it's not the same, you know, level of.
I think we have the proof here with Android, because that's how Android was pushed by Google. Before, it was a free operating system for mobile phones, and then Google, they put a lot of money into it, and they sold phones with that operating system. And people, it's not like people were like, fuck, you know, I don't have Windows. No, that's what it is, and that's what they used. That's why I think people don't adopt such technologies like you guys are saying, because you have to install them basically. You know, and Linux is not. They don't have any reason most companies to ship computers with Linux. Although now they are trying to do that, because they say, okay, it's cheaper for us, instead of paying a license for Windows, to install Linux and ship those with Linux.
It's the same thing with installing like you know, an ad blocker or using DuckDuckGo instead of Google. It's just not reinforced as much by the culture, and it's this extra step that's then kind of revolting against the mainstream and the conventional way of doing things.
Sometimes I install ad blocker to my mother's computer, and she's like, she cannot visit some websites because they are so full of ads, they are empty. And she's like, can you please remove this, because I want to see the. Oh my god, you know, of course, whatever you want, you know. But they get so used to this kind of society and this kind of environment that if you take that away, you know, those ads, so what? Let me see them.
Okay, so even if we've got tools and, you know, the opportunities for this kind of trade-free software and private software and everything, people still not choosing. So what we can do in order to kind of enhance
I like this
it,
idea of when Jack was saying that there is no reason and logic out there, and that's true. because it's like you're going to some Indians that are like, before, around the fire, and you say, are you fucking stupid with your feathers and shit like that? They're not going to listen to you. And that's what it is today. We are a small group of people fighting the entire world in terms of influencing people.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a crazy battle that we may not understand, because if you go to your parents and say, why do you choose this, or to your friends, this is a very small fraction of their influence, because their entire influence in general in their daily life is from Apple, from like, oh, look, the new Apple phone, the new my phone. It has like 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras. You can open the phone with your face. This is such a kind of promotion, but it works. It works.
Yeah, exactly, because your opinion and your propositions are in minority. They're not in majority. I mean, you can influence them for a short time. They maybe install some. They will search something with the DuckDuckGo and will install the ad blocker. But then after a while, after a few weeks, they just like that.
Yeah, it's the herd mentality.
Yeah, and it's, of course, again, like our usual topic is go back to culture, where people are, their environment and everything, which influence them much better and much more powerful than a bunch of crazy people.
I think what we can do is exactly what we are doing right now. We can talk about it, why we should take care about our privacy, why the big companies are bad and what they are doing, and we can provide people with alternatives. Like we said, Linux as an operating system, and for the browser, you can do a lot of things too, and I'm interested in that. So let's talk about what can we use to make our browsing more secure.
So the reason why I made TROM-Jaro, this custom Linux distribution, and we will release it very, very soon, like in this following month or next month at the beginning, is to basically set up everything for people on this operating system that it works out of the box and it's privacy focused. Like I pre-installed stuff on Firefox, the browser, so that it stops trackers, it stops advertising, it stops all kinds of shit like that. So there are many applications that can stop from collecting data, and we can give examples. And I'm so passionate about this because, as I said with TROM-Jaro, I'm so passionate about this. But I want to mention something, that if most people would use such tools, those people from the Googles and Apples and Amazons will have methods to bypass them. So it's such a tricky thing, because even if we convince like 50% of the world to use ad blockers, companies will find the reason, because we live in this trade-based society, will find the method to bypass those. And Google is doing that at the moment. Google is implementing something into their browser that will not allow ad blockers anymore, only some kind of ad blockers. And they will influence, I think 90% or 95% of people in the world use Chrome. Okay, so if you fight with them, there are tools, and we will give you many alternatives, especially when we release TROM-Jaro.com. You will find there so many applications. But please keep that in mind, is the society again. If you are so successful, this society will find ways to attack you back, no matter what.
Or they buy you.
They buy it, yeah.
That's what usually happens with all good causes. As soon as they've got a lot of attention, they've got.
That's interesting, because you find some tools, because I'm so passionate about this. You find some tools that are decentralized and stuff like Tor, the Tor network that everybody is using to not be tracked. But if you dig into it more and more, you realize that NSA or others, they have tools to track you. Even on those, they can find, and if they don't find an error in the software, they will find an error in human behavior, because they will use the human behavior to track you. They will use you. I've seen how they are catching up some hackers, because those hackers also had some Facebook accounts, and then they could extract the data from Facebook accounts. They could associate the data with the activity of those hackers. So you are not careful. You are careful here. You are not careful over here. They find ways all the time.
That's how they got the Dread Pirate Roberts from one of his forum posts under another account.
Exactly.
So
That's something to mind. Mm-hmm.
So is there no like opportunity to not get tracked in when you're in the internet, or
It's
There are ways, yeah.
There are
Coding,
ways, but
say.
it's also very difficult when the NSA's basically split the ocean table and just duplicated the internet
Exactly.
bandwidth, and then they're building these entire data servers. It's like, we don't know what all this encrypted information is right now, but eventually we're gonna have the brute force capability to break it. And it's like, okay, you found out what I did 10 years ago. Why is that information useful to you? Why are you storing that? And it's
That's
not
why
that,
such solutions
Yeah.
are okay, but for this society, for us, they are perfect. Like use VPNs, virtual private networks, use ad blockers. We use like Privacy Badger. It's an extension that you use to stop trackers. They are very efficient today, very efficient in not letting those big companies tracking you. But let's not forget that those are not proper solutions. Those are just patches for this society that is based on trades, and people want stuff from me all the time. So let's keep that in mind. Put those solutions as like, okay, great, let's use them, but let's also talk about the society that's fucked up.
yeah. Because I mean, like, yeah, you want to talk about solutions. It's like, okay, yeah, add the extensions for HTTPS everywhere and Privacy Badger and uBlock. But at the same time, know that you are now making your browser more unique, and there's a thing called the browser fingerprint. And if you have JavaScript enabled, oh man, the data they can pull from you is insane. So it's like just all these ways that they've thought of to completely surround you. If you didn't fuck up over here, you left the hole over here, or your friend tagged you in a post, or I mean, they'll find the weakest link.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Yeah, I completely agree. And that's why it's with most topics, it goes ultimately back to trade. And if you focus just on this specific thing and try to patch it up and so on, you can try to do it, but it's going to overflow at the end of the day. And yeah.
I like such projects. I love them. I love Linux. I love the Purism phone. I cannot wait for them to release it. I love them, but I don't want to ever forget that they are not solutions. And we see, like I gave the example with Chrome. You will have said a few years ago, yes, ad blockers are a solution for Chrome's ads, but now Chrome comes along and they said we are not going to allow this. And what do? If Facebook, right now you cannot block ads on Facebook because they are exactly like posts, and ad blockers cannot make the difference between them. Plus, you can encrypt them on phones. When you install a Facebook application, that is encrypted. So whatever they show you, your operating system cannot detect, like let's say an ad blocker cannot detect that this is ad because it's encrypted. It's completely gibberish for them. So they have complete control. If they really want that, you cannot mess with them. And it's like history proves, it's only a few of us all the time in this trade-based society that are coming up with using such solutions, and we are the exception rather than the rule all of the time. And if we become the rule, then we will piss them off, and they will come up with even more rules, and they will attack us back. Depressing?
Yeah, and it's also coming from different sides as well. Like as you said about ad blocker, some websites also, if you enter them, they detect the ad blocker and they don't show you content unless you disable your ad blocker. Yeah,
Isn't Europe like come with that GDPR rule and say, hey, every company should be very open about what data they collect about users, blah blah blah, because if you don't do that, we are fuck you up. And even that will have absolutely no impact in
yeah, exactly.
overall.
Now they warn you about it, but still you have to accept their cookies. So
yeah.
it's just warning. Who nobody reads even. I mean, but even if you read, but if you need to access this website, you just have to accept.
Yeah.
Because I disabled that on Google for me, and then I had to use my GPS with Google Maps. And then they said, do you want to enable your GPS? I mean, like, of course I fucking want. And I enabled that, and they enabled all of the other shit. Like, okay, we're going to collect the data from this, and for that, and for this, and for that.
Yeah. So in the same way, like some certain websites forcing you to block your ad blocker, the same like the culture and the society we live in could force you to the phone. Let's say I'm living without a mobile phone for, I don't know, 8 months now. And I've got some limitations also, like to register on some websites or to book a hostel somewhere if I want to stay. I just cannot do it without a phone. Like really, there's no option to do it without phone. You have to have your phone or to, I don't know, send a parcel or to receive something. I mean, if I said I don't have phone, and each time I say somewhere I don't have a phone, everyone look at me, it's like super weird guy because it's so unusual.
Are you alive?
Yeah.
Without a phone?
No,
Where are you?
I
What are
don't
you
believe
doing?
you. Yeah. I have boring
For
life.
me, for me, I think it's very telling the fact that people are also used today with, and I even like wrote a rant about this on my blog. They are so used to this privacy invasion from all of these applications, in the sense that they are like, look, Facebook is saying I'm here, Facebook is saying I'm there. Look, you saw my message, I saw your message. Everything is so like, and they don't realize the implication of that. It's almost like no one has any regards for that. It's like, so what? So what? Facebook knows that I'm there. I want for people to know that, but they don't know the ramification of such things.
Completely. And they feel like they're forced to accept it, which they are kind of, because they have no other alternatives.
Or that it is normal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's normal. That's the case.
So if I tell you now that in 5 years, Facebook will be able to detect your facial expression and say there, look, Dima is happy today. Seb just is sad, this and that. You will say that, oh, fuck, this is kind of creepy. This is invasion of privacy. But think about 5 years ago. Would you accept or 10 years ago, for an application to tell you like, oh, look, this guy is here. This guy saw your message. This guy did that. This guy, it's happening. It's happening, but when you put it like this, so that you project into the future, people will say, okay, that's crazy. But they make people be used to such invasions little by little, like iPhone. Like iPhone says like, oh, look, now we have this camera to detect your facial expression, and we have these cool little emojis, they say. You do like this, and a panda is like, well, hello, and next time is like you send a message like that, and then a video, and then they will post a status of your face.
Yeah, exactly. I want to add the thought of the Internet of Things, because then basically you have, no privacy at all. If they collect everything when you sleep, your bed collects data when you sleep, how you sleep, and when you wake up. Your mirror collects data about you. Alexa is collecting data about you. It's just everywhere. There's almost no escape from that.
So what you guys think in the future, we won't have privacy anymore?
We don't have it today, I think. I honestly don't think.
No, we still have it today. I mean, unless you
because you don't have a phone.
Yes,
I have a phone.
I'm talking about me.
in some capacities, you can, in some ways, you can achieve some capacity of privacy still, but unless you're very aware of the systems in place to collect your data, like, I mean, if you go outside, like, I remember I was scared to go anywhere because it's like, if I go on the LTC or my transit, my local city transit, there's cameras on there now that are watching and recording you on the trains and stuff. Like, you can't, you end up not being able to live outside your little boxed house, and as long as no Wi-Fi is coming in, and kind of stuff like that. You have to know about all these things and then put all these precautions in place.
Because in my house, if I sleep in my smart bed with Alexa, I'm fucked. Because they know so much about you. If it's a smart bed, if it's a smart speaker, if it's a smart door to know when I go out and come in. Then I go out, I use a smart car. Imagine that. We didn't even get into that. But smart cars of tomorrow will be like, you get into a smart car and you have to wait 10 seconds to see an ad or something before you start the car, or some shit like that. So it's the car is where you go to shop, where you go to work, is going to be, it's already pretty much everywhere. So I can control my computer with Linux and other extensions what can I do about my car if I have a car? I wouldn't even be allowed to ever touch the software.
Looking at the directions which it leads today, that maybe in the future privacy will be obsolete. It will be really something like left back in the days, and people just would consider it's normal. It's just there would be no privacy anymore, and it wouldn't be anyone concerned, because people would even imagine life as a private person when everything is so transparent and all your behavior and actions are tracked.
You also see like that maybe even more, or this feeling is accentuated in airplanes when you travel. It's like here when you say when you're in a car in such a future society. Well, already today as well in planes, everyone is shoved in regimented rows and with a small screen in front, and then you have to watch whatever is in front of you, and they just play ad after ad about the airline you're flying with and whatever. Yeah.
As long as is this force of companies and governments wanting something from you, then I don't think you can change this with technology. You cannot change this with rules. If we will live in a society where, because imagine this, why is Facebook collecting all of this shit? Why is NSA collecting all of this shit? Because they want something. They want to control you, or they want for you to become a consumer. Else they will have no reason. Why isn't that my Manjaro Linux doesn't collect anything about me? You know, when some people ask on Manjaro forums, because I'm involved a little bit there as well to help other people with stuff, they ask, how many people install Manjaro, do you know? And they say, we have no idea. We don't track anything. We don't have no idea how many people. You see, so they have no reasons. That's what we have to do, to make a society where there are no reasons for data collection. That's the idea here.
Or that if there is, that it's used for like a beneficial purpose, like your health data, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of being pitted against you and denying you insurance.
Yeah.
Because
the
data collection is not
be used for the positive, exactly. And many positive elements. Yeah.
It's not a bad thing, data collection. Like phones are not a bad thing, or computers. No, it's the society that it's using them in this bad way.
Of course.
Yeah.
And weaponize the data.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good type way of putting it.
And we also have
data is the new gold. Sorry to you.
Yeah. And the other topic that we had here was also censorship, because we also touched a little bit on that. But that too, it's such a, because people think that the internet is so fucking free, you know, and you can access everything you want. That's not true. Even Wikipedia is banned in so many countries. I was shocked when I saw that Wikipedia, which is just an information website that is educational and free, is banned for some kinds of reason. In Turkey, I think it's now banned and so forth, which it sucks, you know. And there are alternatives to that. Like I and Cody spent the past 2 days searching about this new kind of network that connects to people instead of going to a browser and something like that. And they made Wikipedia in this distributed way. And now Wikipedia could be accessed from Turkey. But of course, if Turkey really wanted to fucking block everything, somehow I think they will find a way. Like they shut down the electricity or something like that. So yeah, censorship, it's crazy. Because people think censorship is in China. No, censorship is everywhere. UK has so many websites that's like censored, like banned, so you cannot access them.
I mean,
which is nuts.
Yeah, even just... Go ahead, Dima.
Yeah. I wanted to tell about Russia. There's like recently happening hearing, like in a governmental, about separating Russian segment of internet from the rest of the world. And there was first hearing, and they accepted it in the first instance. So there will be like second and third maybe, but it's going that direction. Maybe they will separate the internet the same as China did.
Wow.
And that's so weird. Look at this amazing tool, this internet, which connects all the world, and now we can see more and more countries because they lose the control. You know, they lose like control over their media, because they can easily control the TV and the radio stations and newspapers in their country, but they cannot control the internet. So that's why they want to kind of close kind of internet and be in charge of it.
Yeah, they're drawing lines in the sand just like how countries are thing. It's one global planet.
Yeah.
And it's these invisible lines. They're just doing the exact same thing
Yeah.
with the internet. It's like, no, this is the internet for Russia.
Yeah. That's what they do because they can be in charge. They can still have control over what's happened with their citizens, with their slaves.
And only weak minds
Yeah,
and
just-
weak systems are putting laws and censorship into place. Because if people had no reason to fucking do something that is like it's school, you put the fences and all that shit to keep the kids in school. But if you don't address the reason why kids leave the school, then no fence is going to have any impact. So when China is trying to ban the internet, they are trying to censor those who talk against China, those activists and so forth. Well, guess what? You are going to ban and to censor normal citizens of China because the other ones will find alternatives, will find holes into those walls, basically. So you don't do anything in the end.
Yeah, right. At the end, it's the normal people who are fucked because like all the weirdos always find a way to
Exactly.
to avoid the system.
Aaron, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, China has a big firewall where they filter everything what's coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through the World Wide Web.
The Great Firewall.
The great firewall of China that you can see from space. I've heard.
It's crazy. Mm.
Yeah. Even ban encrypted traffic. When they see encrypted traffic, because they cannot read it, they get pissed off and they say, "Okay, throw it away. We don't need that. We need to read everything." But people in China are like breaking that like on a daily basis. Those who want to break it. That's the idea.
And I think it's a problem because if you say, okay, oh, this is in China, so no problem, I'm living in Germany or somewhere. But no, I think it's spreading. It's not only in China, we see it worldwide, and it's getting more and more and even worse. And that's what we're discussing. So it's a big problem.
There's no point in putting those artificial barriers because it's also in many places in the Middle East where I've lived as well. Everything is censored. Like so many websites are just completely blocked, and but you can still access them if you put on your VPN and shift yourself to a different country. So it's kind of pointless. And then what are they going to do? Like arrest you for changing your VPN to access something?
Yeah, maybe. Why not?
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, they might do that.
Netflix is banning VPNs, for example. That's what they do, Netflix. If they see that you are using a VPN, they are going to block you. It's not working with that. So they are doing that. If Netflix is doing it, I'm sure other are doing it.
Countries are doing it.
Yeah, so that's the idea here, that censorship, in my view, and all of such things with privacy, they are only affecting normal people, and they have almost zero effect to those that they wanted to affect, that they wanted to stop. It's exactly, I looked at this in so many domains, even drug trafficking and so forth. All of those rules, they only affect normal people like you and me, that we are getting scared because fucking, I'm going to the airport and maybe I make a joke and I say bomb and they're going to fucking arrest me because of that. Or I behave a certain way. I always feel so uncomfortable when I go to airports. I'm like, I feel like I'm in prison or something, just to not say anything wrong or fucking Christ, But those terrorists, they're like, fuck those with those rules. I'm going to rent a car and I'm going to crash into people now because they don't let me crash with an airplane. I'm going to crash with a car. They solve nothing, absolutely nothing.
I think they also the double benefit is the placated society, like you're saying, Theo, and I know the pressure you're talking about, like in an airport, and it's like you don't feel like you can fuck up in there. It's not like if something goes wrong, it's gonna be serious, and
you go with your grandma, and if she has like a problem with her back, and like, don't put your hands like that, or just walk normally because they are going to arrest you.
Yeah, your hands are behind your back. Let's see your hands. Put them up. I can't.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's really fucked up.
Yeah, but that's
privacy.
That's the double, like the chilling effect, and like it definitely affects a society. Affected my ability to communicate with the people I would even trust the most, because it's like I would not want to compromise them with anything. I understand that me just reaching out to them now has like an impact, and that there's like a trail of that, Like, oh, Cody talked to Tio. What was that about? Are they trying to change the world? These revolutionaries? You know, that's honestly like they're gonna come after me. They're going to arrest me. I'm going to be extradited and shipped off to Guantanamo, or you know.
I personally, I'm not scared about such things. To be honest,
I'm done being scared about that. They got bigger fish to fry, I hope. So, no, it is what it is. But I'm definitely aware of it now, and it's altered my behavior.
Yeah, it can fuck up with your mind because such things indeed happen. You know, it's not only like a conspiracy that, oh fuck, they are coming after you. Some things happen. I'm not scared that someone will come after me because of my search results, because fucking Christ, what I search for Tron books, if anyone has my history, they will be like, fuck, this guy is crazy or something, you know, because I search for so many crazy things all of the time. So yeah, I'm not scared in that sense, but maybe I will become like Cody.
Well, it's like
after a while.
it's D-Man is nudes. He doesn't want them getting out there. It's like it's not that it's like a really bad thing, but it's like you don't want it out there. I don't know.
People who don't know the context will just say, what the fuck?
Do not upload them to the IPFS.
Oh man. Okay, so I wanted to mention this, that it's for me, what is very disappointing is that you have cases like Snowden, for example. This guy had so much shit on NSA and others, and they released that like not even all at once. They did it in a smart way, like a little bit here, a little bit there, to keep people engaged. But nothing happens. You see, nothing happens. Nothing happened. I didn't hear anything about anything happening. People forget about this. You know, a few online videos, a few documentaries. You know, we mind our own business. We go to work, and that's it. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's a bit depressing about all the activism, because I've got this parallel to all other things, and I research all other similar cases when some activists reach millions of people, yet there are no any significant improvement or any outcome. It's a bit depressive, and the same like a Snowden. I think we talked about it already on one of the past TROM-Casts. So yeah, for me, I think the biggest achievement is that now maybe a lot of people now sticking a tape on their laptop cameras. That's
But
the only thing.
they cannot stick a tape on their browsers. That's the problem.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just just to show in comparison that there's like really small changes occurs. I mean, you can stick your tape, you can choose maybe other browser, but that's about what you can do as individual. Nothing. And then they NCA, they spy even more now. They have experience of the data leaking, and they're protecting themselves more, and it's just expanding. So situation actually got worse. Not because of that, but like during the time.
Yeah.
They evolve also because there are technologies and the way they collect data and use it, and yeah, and now they also try to secure their own data more carefully than before.
And also the Cambridge Analytica scandal from Facebook. What changed after that? I've heard that 1 million users got out of Facebook, but I mean, Facebook has billions of users, so.
And they went on Instagram.
Yeah. Probably.
Because many don't know. Yeah, and they post on Instagram. That's what we wanted to say. Like, hey, I left Facebook. Fuck Facebook. But let's switch for a bit. Actually, let's put some positive stuff into this, because for those of us who want to change something for themselves, there are some solutions out there. So, for example, in terms of social networks, there are these new kinds of networks that are called federated networks. So what they are, like, one example is Mastodon. So it's like a template for a social network, and as far as I understand, you can install that template on your own server, or you can use from other servers the same template. And it's like a Facebook. You log in there, you have followers, you have posts and everything. And what is cool about it, because it's decentralized and federated, many servers have the same social network. Okay, so if I go on this company or organization and I register there and I make an account and I post everything, and they put some filters and they say, we don't allow nude photos, I can export my data and I can go to another server, import my data, and it will be exactly the same. So it will be completely the same. In this sense, they cannot censor it because no one has control over it. So it's such a brilliant way because I can put this federated network on my own server and I control it. And I can follow Dima. Dima it's on another instance, on another. So it's easy to use. Basically, it's not that difficult to use actually. So this is one solution to social networks that is spreading right now. Do you know about this?
Yeah, I've tried to make a channel there for Trom, but I get tired from gay porn all the time on every instant. It's like enormous amount of gay porn. You just cannot avoid it.
But can you avoid it?
No, not really. I mean, it's just you can turn off. There are like a few walls, like one your instance wall and others like general, so you can control your instance. But what is in general happens.
But actually, I take your comment very positively actually, because if you say fuck, there are so much gay porn or so many beheadings, I say great, that's a great social network because it doesn't have rules. Okay, if you want to, it's fucked up that people are killing other people, but you should have control over that. Okay, not Facebook. Don't put Facebook in charge of another organization. So for me, that's very important.
Yeah, I agree on that with you, but from my perspective, it's still it's like the same old culture. The people move there and post their shit there. I mean, it's not only the tools, but also your environment and your values and everything.
That's
So
what
it's
I'm
like
saying for those who are searching for alternatives.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course. It's just like generally speaking, what we want to see and kind of achieve is like this double shift, not only in technological ways to have all this alternative, but also in like value shift. Yeah.
So technologically wise, let's give some examples.
Of
that
course.
was one example.
Like,
do you know other examples?
Diaspora is quite cool. There, it's quite quiet. There's not many users, but I really like the way it's structured, the design, and it's not annoying. You can basically control a lot of things, and it's very similar to Facebook. Diaspora, there is Stamit. I don't really like it much. It's like using a lot of cryptocurrencies, and people just try to earn money, and then they upvote, and they kind of try to make a profit out of it. But it's kind of alternative also. And yeah, I really like the Riot. The instance we're all using.
Riot is the same. It's federated.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's federated. So it's super cool. It's very, very useful, and you also can control pretty much everything you want there.
Or PeerTube. It's like peer-to-peer YouTube that videos are posted on many different computers.
Yeah. Or DTube.
Or I'm not going into details, but the network that I and Cody tried to figure it out lately is basically the same kind of, it distributes files everywhere and you can access a website from Dima's computer and from Aaron's computer, and it creates a website instead of going to a company server. So there are alternatives like that.
Yeah, there are a lot of alternatives really. It's just sometimes what lacks there is people who is there, because mainly why you need these social networks and stuff to communicate with people, and if the people not there, it makes social network useless.
And when we are going to make our website tradefree.org, we are going to put a section there with trade-free services, and we are going to post lots of such alternatives. So you can go there and search for alternative to Facebook, alternative to Google Drive, alternative to this, to that. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So we don't just leave it there. I know we sound very pessimistic, but I think we sound realistic, and we are also trying to push something here, to push some alternatives. Will change something? I don't know. I don't like to be this kind of dreamy kind of guy. Be like, yeah, we are going to change it with Mastodon and with PeerTube, and I cannot be like that. And if you want to go to the news, because some news is connected to.
All right, so. Okay, so The first one's
Which
the
one?
PIA, the quantified self. So I guess that was a reference to basically the tracking with like Fitbit and stuff, and collecting like your health data while you're on the job, kind of things. Like Amazon employees, I think they now have, or they're trying to do the wrist wraps or whatever, and that will give you a little shock if you're reaching the wrong way to pick an item. Yeah, like we're getting to like that
Seriously?
level. Yeah, that's happening. It's like not a painful shock, but like
Yes,
that
of
you would
course.
get any kind of electric jolt for like you're moving the wrong way. Oh whoa, like that's
But if you move,
And the kick in the ass, like, bam, hey, move quicker, move quicker.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And that people are just running across Amazon warehouses. Like that's the kind of behavior that you're gonna do to people when you have like these devices that are like, they give you these
Trackable
devices, yeah, and just track you, know when you're moving, know when you're sitting down, how long your downtime is, and like basically just always on. Hey, what are you doing there, little guy?
Yes, because imagine the future of work actually is the present in many cases, in some cases, where you have this wristband or something, and they will see exactly if you are working or just, sitting on a desk and doing nothing.
Oh.
It's crazy, but it's happening.
The next article was the News Digest that had like a bunch of different.
From Cancer Research UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read the news about like only half of the children with cancer are treated worldwide. And because the world is like, we care about children and so forth. You have the resources, but still, look at this case. Only half of the children are treated with cancer are treated, which is really, really awful. That was really
because they don't have money, or
probably, yeah, because they don't have access to them. Yeah.
I think most of the part of these children come from third world countries.
Yeah.
And they just-
Underdiagnosed or just die. No access to medical, it looks like.
Yeah.
And many parts needed to food.
Yeah.
Like, how many kids are dying because they are starving?
And then the other noteworthy one on there was just one of the scientists looking at like targeting cancer stem cells as essentially what is like stopping the metastases of cancer spreading. Potentially the stem cells are a target therapy for that.
Yeah, they're fighting all kinds of, searching all kinds of methods. And this is one of the points in my latest book, that we always should focus, as I mentioned before, on problems, like cancer. Focus on problem, because you will come up with solutions here as well. The solution for today's problem is not a resource-based economy, like so many people are saying a resource-based. This may be one solution, but the problem is still trade. And if you want to tackle it, come up with many solutions. Same with cancer. 100 years ago, radiation was like, yeah, radiation, we should kill cancer, Not today anymore. Today we have like stem cells, T cells, all other kinds of therapies. So anyways, I will talk more about that when I release the book. I cannot wait. Okay, another news.
Don't sacrifice fair use to the bots. I believe this is talking about Article 13 in the EU trying to be passed right now.
Yeah. It's about privacy. They are forcing companies to have like these filters. They are forcing them to have filters to filter any content that goes, for example, on Facebook or on YouTube. So first it filters it to see if it's copyrighted, and if it's not copyrighted, it will pass. If it is, it will. They already have this in place. So this is not the big news. What is the big news is that if they force this, small companies who don't have the financial resources to implement this, they will not create like sharing websites or video sharing websites and stuff like that, because they are going to be scared. Again, it's a problem where laws are affecting only those who are small players and they don't do the bad stuff, Because YouTube likes this law, because YouTube is like, of course, you already have our filters. But if I'm a small company and I want to create a better video platform, I cannot do it in Europe right now because of this law.
And then the last one is combating dangerous quackery and anti-vaccine misinformation on streaming services and social media. So I think this is linked to, I believe it was Facebook was pulling down all this anti-vax videos and information and stuff.
Facebook, Netflix, Amazon, they are like now because some big companies like CNN are reporting on the fact that they post bullshit information on their platforms, they're like, oh my god, they're hurting our subscribers, let's do something about it. It's not like they have this morality inside them, and they're removing now anti-vaxxers and conspiracy shit, but again they're going to remove other good documentaries or other like activism based stuff, and it's just a PR move. It's nothing like they care. Amazon doesn't. Amazon cares for you to watch Amazon Prime or Netflix, to watch the documentary. Don't give a fuck about this. But there are other like two news that I sent you. One was like a massive database leak gives a window into China's digital surveillance. So yeah, they leaked almost like an NSA version of China, and they will showcase how they are tracking like every move of everyone there, and how sophisticated they become in doing this. By the way, you can find all of those news in the description for our live on YouTube and Facebook if you want to read more about this. And one more news that I think it was interesting was OpenAI. If anyone here knows about OpenAI, like Elon Musk and others said they became a bit concerned about AI because AI will destroy humanity, which I disagree. I think people will destroy humanity, not AI systems. But they invented this open AI, and they said, okay, we are going to create a good AI, okay? Okay, people, we are the good people, okay? Open AI, we call it open AI. And everything is open source and so forth. But now, a few days or months ago, I don't remember when, but lately they invented a better algorithm to interpret human language. Like it's AI designed for human language. And apparently they said, wow, this is so good that we are not going to release it in public. We are going to keep it private because we fear the consequences in our society, okay? So they are open, but they are trying to now are engaging in such shitty kind of behaviors. And they say, oh my God, we are so good at making AI that we are so scared to release it for free. And they didn't even share with researchers. They didn't even share with anyone. And this article is about how even such organizations, if they go down this route of not sharing information with the rest of the world, they are going to create a very problematic situation because you don't know what they developed there, okay? You don't know how their AI system is working. Why they are calling that open AI and they say, oh, we're open source and so forth. So it's shitty, Elon Musk, many people, okay, maybe it's not his fault, whatever the heck, but I'm just saying that people are you have to pay attention to such details because many people become fans of Elon Musk or OpenAI and so forth. In this society, even those people and those organizations are going to fuck things up. So pay attention to that. Yes.
Interesting.
Okay. Do you want to is something in the chat room? I don't know.
I see something, but I can't read it from here.
Let's see.
It says the money will always be the measure of power, control, etc. because old man needs money to get attention.
Trades will be.
Oh.
Because it can be Bitcoin. Seb, if you can keep a look and look and see if there is anything else, if you have it open.
I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything natural for people to want attention and they want money and trade and so forth. It's the environment that makes people like. So if you were to like summarize this subject, I'm always like, even with my books, I do this kind of thing. Like I want to summarize. If anyone wants to just go one of the day and summarize this privacy and censorship subject, what would you say?
Privacy is obsolete. We're fucked.
I'd say there's things you can do, and just keeping yourself up to date, and just having that background knowledge of what's being collected, and then that whatever value system you have in your head can kind of naturally a solution would fall out of that for you. Maybe it's like using Facebook less or uninstalling certain tracking apps on your phone, or something like that. But that, yeah, it's very almost at that obsolete point where you're fighting almost against the impossibility of complete privacy.
Yeah, I would say privacy has shifted a lot. Like sometimes it used to, even when you used to live in like in a culture or in prison, privacy was very different than it is today. And now because of technology and cell phones and so on, everyone can track you and advertise, and the same world that you're living in is kind of being reflected online. The predatory economic system that we have and the trade-based culture is now just being reflected online. So it's the same game, but it's just online, and it's much more intense, and people can advertise to you at your home and constantly because of all the screens we're using. So it's becoming a bit of a tricky time, and it's going to be interesting to see how things go in the future. And you can of course do some patchwork that might relieve some of this constant advertisement and tracking and so on through certain technologies and decentralized platforms and whatnot. But ultimately, you have to shift the culture in order to really generate, a system where people don't trade and hence don't want to track your shit and all of that.
Yeah, I agree. I would say we should educating people about that. We should talk about that. Why big companies are taking our data, why they want our data, and we have to talk about our trade-based society. That's the main problem, and then we can provide solutions. We can provide like trade-free alternatives, like Riot, like Mastodon, like, I don't know, Proton Mail or Tutanota. These are email clients. So yeah, we can push this idea forward and yeah, keep on doing that.
I think that you cannot have privacy in a trade-based society, because even that is valued in this trade-based society, because they want your attention, they want your data. So this is never going to happen. It will always be a battle, and they are going always to win. You cannot fight that with them. That's why we have to change the structure of our society. However, for the few of us who can do something about this, because we are the minority, there are many alternatives that you can use. And we are going to push so many alternatives with ROM, with ROMjar, with tradefree.org, with other things like that. So I think that for us, we can stay away from such problems most of the time. But let's not be naive. So that's what I would say.
Looking forward to downloading TROM-Jaro and finally shifting away as well and using Linux and all of that. I'm very excited to see that.
Aaron moved from, like you have Mac. Aaron moved from
Yeah,
Mac
exactly.
Ooh.
Nice.
from
I
Java.
have a Mac and installed TROM-Jaro, and I also have a how-to in German. I have a blog, and I posted how I switched to Manjaro at TROM-Jaro, so you can check it out on my.
Definitely, that's great.
Excellent.
That's
Yeah, we only have like Cody without, if Seb is going against that, it's only even Rafa has the same from Jaro, and other
Yeah.
people from Jaro.
Is anyone else getting hot?
Okay, then I think this stream worked quite okay, considering that we streamed on two locations. And next time, the same hour, same time, same day. And I wanted to mention, because I always forget this, if you want to support TROM and whatever we are doing, you can get involved with TROM. We are going to make a help page where you can translate stuff and so forth. Lately, many people are quite involved with the project. You can also support us financially, because whatever we do is trade free. We don't track you, nothing like that. Like you visit tromsite.com, we have no idea how many people are visiting and stuff like that. Everything we do is just we do it. It's trade free. We make videos, books, and so forth. So if you can support us, you can go to tromsite.com/donate, and you can also support us. Keep doing this. Okay, so I think that's it for today.
All right.
All right. Was cool.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.